Okay, we have Arna next. Arna, could you please unmute Arna?
Yeah. So, hello, Mr. Jack. My name is Arna. I am 11 years old, studying in grade 7. Firstly, I would like to say it's a pleasure to meet you and learn about your life and your experiences. I enjoy reading books and writing stories and poetry. Along these lines, my question to ask you is, do you have any favorite authors, books, or source of inspiration from your own childhood that has influenced your writing or storytelling style? Thank you.
Huh. Thank you for that well put together question with a true question. So, yes, the answer is yes, a mighty yes, big yes. So when I first started working on autobiographical material, so I wrote this book, Heads or Tails. So this is stories from 6th grade. So I wrote 5 books where I took my old journals, because I have stacks of them. I took my 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade journals, and I wrote 5 books of short stories. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. So I wrote probably about 50 short stories that I pulled out of the journal. Now, when I went and found them in the journal, they were a mess. But it was kind of a brilliant mess, because all it did was it just captured like a certain action and a certain emotion. And then you take those two pieces, action and emotion, and you just kind of push them together. And, the story will come out of that. And it was true action, and it was true emotion. It was genuine. It was sincere. And so writing about what you know about, that's what, when we're teaching this sort of thing, we always say, well, write about what you know about, because somebody always says to me, I have nothing in this world to write about. I'm like, well, just write about yourself. Write about what you know about. Sit down at the dining room table. My mother got this whole business started, quite frankly. So my mother did this thing. So my mother was always the cook, right? So she would always cook. Then we'd have dinner. There were 3 children, a father and a mother. So she'd cook, we'd put the food on our plates, and then we'd eat like animals. Everybody would just eat, and get up and run off. And my mother said, one day my mother put her fist down and said, no more. That's not going to happen anymore. She said, now I'm going to make everybody tell a story of their day at the table. And I was like, this is going to be so boring. It turned out to be genius. My mother was a genius. We all didn't know it. And then until then. So my dad would have to tell a story. My sister would tell a story. My little brother would tell a story. I'd tell a story. My mother would tell a story. And we would have the most delightful dinners. And it got so good that I would take my journal with me to the dining room table, and I'd keep it on my lap, and I'd make notes. I'd write notes in my journal from the conversations that were taking place at the dining room table. So all that is to say that, yes, that the world around you is really the seed, or the seed pods, for all these stories. So the stuff that you're going through now, the feelings you have, the thoughts you have, if you keep a journal, those stories are just going to grow right up from them. And then you will be, of course, the main character, which is the best place to be. Thank you.
Okay, I believe Akriti is next. Akriti? Could you unmute Akriti, please?
Mr. Jack Gantos.
Hello.
My name is Akriti. I am 14 years old and I'm currently a student of grade 9. Firstly, it's indeed a great pleasure to listen to your valuable perspectives on writing and literature today. So my question is, do you think that all students should be encouraged to approach a problem creatively or critically? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. I don't think that when I approach a problem, unless it's a very physical problem, like if my lawnmower is broken, I approach it physically. But whenever I'm thinking about anything that takes place in a book, I'm always instantly, it's just instinctively that I'm looking at the physical side and the emotional side. I'm just dollying both ways, back and forth, because they influence each other so much. When you feel this way, you do this. When you do this, you feel this way. So, you're always going back and forth. And I think having that duality in your mind is absolutely necessary when you're looking, even just living in the world, like just that question, which people will ask you forever in your entire life, is why did you do that? Like, how can you grow up in a house without a parent saying, why did you do that? Why, or your teacher, why did you do that? Or your friend, why did you do that? You're always explaining yourself. And you're explaining yourself, well, I did it because of this reason, or I did it because I felt that way. And so you can even see it existing, the simultaneous, unification of physical and emotional is everywhere. You cannot take one away from the other. It would fall. So, no. I just want you to, like, if you're writing, just like go with it. Go with both sides. The first sentence in the paragraph could be an emotional one. The first sentence in the paragraph could just be a plain one. I walked into a room. When I saw this person, I felt X. It just naturally flows in. You know it, and I think I know it too. So just put them together, and then write your great book. We're waiting for it. We'll be patient. Thank you.
Why, thank you. Thank you, Akriti. Thank you, Jack. Okay, we have 4 more questions from the attendees. And how much time do we actually have? We'll have to, I think, Jack.
We're going to have to motor on because I have a few things to say at the end as well.
Yes. So Priyanka is on next.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you, Richa. And hi, Jack. I can't see him. Can you help me? Yeah. Hi, Jack. This is Priyanka here. And let me, right at the outset, begin by saying that it has been an incredible evening for me because it's not every day that I get to, sit across a celebrated author as you and listen to him, learn from him, and even get to talk to him. So I'm genuinely humbled, and thank you so very much. So, yes. So, Jack, the thought that has been crossing my mind since the outset of this session, like you've been sharing some mind-blowing anecdotes from your childhood. So, I'm reaffirmed in my understanding that a writer's voice is deeply reflective of what he or she actually is through his personal experiences in his personal life. So, right at the outset, you've been, telling a lot of incidents of your childhood. So, if I take a flashback and go and meet the younger Jack, it's very fascinating that this young chap, he suddenly gets embroiled in this dark, big, bad world of drugs, and then he's compelled to serve a term in the prison. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But then the most remarkable part is that that he comes out of this and he evolves as this brilliant writer that we celebrate today. And I'm completely in sync of what you've been saying right from the outset, that the emotional content is what appeals to the reader. That's the hero of any story. So the emotional transformations that you might have gone through because of those hard-hitting incidents in your life, Did
Yes.
they play a vital role in shaping the great writer that you are today? Or you could have been as good a writer without even those?
Well, let's take the very tail end of what you were saying. First off, thank you for that lovely, thoughtful, detailed question. Whenever I'm honestly answering that question, I don't think without having gone through a difficult period in my teenage years, that I ever would have become the writer.
Wonderful.
I think it was important, and I'll tell you one area where it was exceptionally important, exceptionally so, is I read my way through prison. I read book after book after book after book.
Wonderful.
And it took me out. Everybody was always trying to get to the other side of the fence. But I was on the other side of the fence because I was reading a book all the time. So it takes the time away in one way. But also, once you make a mistake, the only way then to use that mistake is to use it for something good,
Wonderful. Brilliant.
and put it to work. So I'm not embarrassed. Obviously, when I wrote this book, that's my mugshot on the book.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm saying, yes,
Yes.
through this
Yes.
experience. And then, so, here I am writing picture books, and I'm
Right.
done.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a learning experience for all of us. It's such a source of inspiration.
Well, you're not stuck in a rut. You're not.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
choose. Don't tell the
Absolutely.
world what you should be. You choose. You identify yourself. You can take on anything.
Absolutely. What a wonderful thought. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, one more. Is there one time for another question? Then I'll wrap up.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. We know the resurrection. I think that's the term I'm looking for, resurrection of Jack Gantos after the Hole in My Life episode.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time only for one more question, and so Manan and Atish, could you just write down your questions and I'll pass them to Jack, and if possible, he can possibly write to you if possible. Ishi, you can we unmute Ishi, please, so that she can your
Yeah.
question?
Hello, I am absolutely honored to be here, and it was a pleasure listening to you talk. But my question is kind of simple. Does it take courage to write a book? And if so, how much courage does it take?
Well, courage is part of it. But I think what encourages you is sticking with the writing. So if you have goals and you say, I'm going to write for 15 minutes a day, and every day for 15 minutes you write, or a half hour you write, then that is the encouragement you're giving yourself. You're proving to yourself, I can do this job, I can get it done. And so I think that you can satisfy and support and encourage yourself just by setting up a little goal that you meet. And then before long, you look in the mirror and you go, you know what? I did it. I set a goal. I reached my goal. I continue to reach my goal. I continue to have a dream. I work at it. I read good books. I am the person I want to be. So just start small and you get there. But consistency is the only way you're going to get there. You can't do this once in a while. You got to stick with it.
Thank you. That helped a lot. Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. I'm sure you'll get there. I'm on your side.
Well, everyone seems to have got a vote from Mr. Gantos, and I think it's going to really work wonders for you. There is just, there are two questions left. One is from Manan, who wanted to ask you if you would not be a writer, if you wouldn't have been a writer, what other profession you could have, opted for. If you can possibly work it into your closing remarks, then we'd be really happy. And I think Atish also had a question, and I'll just read that out as well. He says, it's a pleasure being able to get an answer from you, sir. How do you deal with procrastination? Personally, I postpone many tasks I receive and want to know how a professional like you gets the motivation to write all these amazing books and with so much of consistency. So if you could possibly weave the answers to these questions in your closing remarks, we'd be really grateful.
Okay. First off, we'll go in reverse first. The consistency. I know that it's very difficult for anybody, not just a young person, to have consistency, which is why I said earlier, when you're starting off in this, and I know that you want to say, I want to be really great. I'm going to write 2 hours a day. But if you don't, you beat yourself down. Start small. When you start small and do it every day, then you look in the mirror and you go, you know what? I did the job I said I was going to do. And that just fills you full of confidence. And that is what carries you forward in this business. It's a bit of a confidence game. And you create the confidence by a little bit every day. You like that 5. As for the other, what would I have been? What would I have been? I have no idea what I would have been. I don't know. I mean, really, when I think about it now, I think, well, maybe I would have been a librarian. Maybe, I'd be very happy being a librarian. I love books and I love being around books. I'm in the library all the time. I mean, basically, when I'm working on a book, I'm in the library 5 or 6 days a week. And I go in at 9 and I get out at 5. It's like a job for me. I go in, I do my 2 hours of first draft writing, 2 hours of second draft writing, 2 hours of reading, and 2 hours of mop up. And then I come home. That's what I do. And it's like whip, 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 whip. Get the job done. And I don't look in the mirror and go, oh, you are a writer. I only feel that way when I'm writing. I don't go patting myself on the head. Oh, I did 1 word today. Oh, I did, I got a sentence today. It's like, no, these are your goals. Meet the goals. If I don't meet the goals, I don't feel exactly happy with myself unless I'm lying to myself. And I don't like lying to myself. So I try and be happy with myself, get the job done. The whole routine. But at the end, no matter what you do, no matter how you do it, whether you hang upside down from a tree and write, it doesn't matter. At the end, when you get that manuscript done and you get that book in your hand, you're going to just feel so powerful, so happy that you did it. And that is worth everything. I mean, I've gotten older. I don't know how it happened, but I did. So when I look over the books, and I look at them, and I'm very pleased with some of them. But as a writer, I go back into them. If I start reading one of my books, I take out a pen and I start changing the words around. I start editing my own work. So whenever I read a book, I'm like, no pen, please. Just let me read it. I can't change the words. But that said, so you're always thinking like a writer. Let me just say this other thing. And that is, it's great to speak to you all the way in India. I mean, it's just fascinating. Here we are very far apart physically and so close emotionally. We all feel the same things, share the same things, see some of the same things, and we're all human beings in a world, in a great world, and a world that provides tremendous joy and tremendous tragedy simultaneously. And we're always parsing those things in our mind. What is great? What is not? How can I deal with this? How can I absorb this greatness? And we're always going through the world as very complex human beings. And then when we sit down to write, we take that complexity and we refine it into a story. So just your daily life, just your living, just your seeing, just your feeling, just your relationships with your friends, your family, the world, the news, the books you read, all of that is refined through a filter into your heart and into your soul and down into your pen and onto a piece of paper. And that's what you want to be. You want to be that big person that puts yourself into the book, lean into that thing. So that's all I have to say about that. And the other thing I have to say is this. I was in India once. I was in New Delhi. I spoke at the American school in New Delhi for a few weeks. I took my family, my wife, my daughter. We went down to Agra, of course, to see the Taj Mahal. We went to Jaipur, which was fabulous. And we went all through New Delhi, Old Delhi, New Delhi. We just had the best time, the nicest people. It was just like a spectacular, magical time. And I had such a tender heart for India. And even when I look at the shape of the country, it looks like a giant heart to me when I look at the map of India. And so if ever our paths can cross again on your ground, I would love it. So just put that in mind. I would come in a heartbeat. So would my wife. So, and let me just say one other thing. If you ever come to Boston, and do not get in touch with me, I will be so vexed with you. So, the Boston Athenaeum, okay, it's named after the goddess Athena, right? The goddess Athena, goddess poetry, beautiful thing. The Athenaeum, that's where I am. If you ever come to Boston, you can't find me. Of course, I'm easy to find. But if you can't find me, go to the Boston Athenaeum, and they will tell you where I am. Usually I'm on the 5th floor, hiding. It's the quiet floor. No talking, no cell phones, no music, just nothing but silence. And you know what you hear in silence? Your own thoughts. And what do writers need? Thoughts. That's all. So there you go. That's the whole shebang right there. And outside of shaking every one of your hands and walking you down the street and listening to you tell your story to me, I will walk away from here feeling as though I talked and talked and talked. But boy, I sure would love just being a listener for a long time. So if you're in town, come talk to me. I'll listen. Thank you so much for setting this up. It was just a pure joy and a pleasure. And you all are so nice. I appreciate you reading my books. Believe me, it means the world to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you ever so much. That was so beautiful. And we hope next time we can meet in person.
I hope so.
Hopefully in India. And there is so much more to see in India, and we'd be happy to take you around.
It's a big place.
All of us trailing behind you. You can have your own convoy of followers.
Yeah.
And if ever any of us find ourselves in Boston, then you definitely have visitors. But thank you so much. You have been wonderful and such a guiding force. We really look up to you. Thank you for
Thank
being with
all
us.
of you so much. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us. It has been a wonderful session. Thanks to all of you as well. You have been a wonderful audience, very interactive. And it has been a pleasure all the way around. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Have a good day.
Thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.